Okay, both streams should be live. Hope you had a nice trading day. Hope you're having a nice week. We'll be going over the market, be going over today's plays. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for September 9th, 2021. Q's down 0.22 and SPY down 0.28. So it was up initially in the morning and then kind of gave it back. We had a bit of a sell-off into the afternoon. For the past couple weeks, we've been talking about a pullback in the Q's and SPY and the IWM. Because we'd had a nice move up, we're bullish, and we had room to pull back. Okay, so we got a bit of the start of that yesterday. You can see the SPY now has pulled back into support here. I like that we got a bit of a move up here. So now underneath, okay, underneath today's low, we will be short-term bearish on the SPY. What we'll need to see is follow through on this hourly downtrend. You can see the downtrend is really not that convincing, right? Equal highs, equal lows is more what we have now, as opposed to a nice downtrend. So we haven't really had a nice downtrend on the Qs and the SPY in some time. We got to go back to here, and even that's a pretty sloppy downtrend. More recently, the IWM had a nicer downtrend here. Let's go back here. And I got it drawn out here for you there. Okay, so that is what we would expect to see on the hourly to turn bearish, at least in the short term. Okay, larger time frames are pretty hard to turn bearish on without a more prolonged pullback and a deeper pullback, and we would see that on the hourly. Okay. So underneath today's low for the Qs and the SPY, and IWM I think is going to be yesterday's low. They're about the same, but yesterday's low, because that's where the daily buy setup is. Here's where the pivot is. Okay, yesterday's low. Pull back to the 20 MA. That's what we were talking about up here. We can still pull back to the 20 MA and still be bullish, okay, on the IWM here. So we have got that pullback now. We have created the pivot. So yesterday's low there for the IWM, yesterday's low for the Qs, short-term bearish, and then the SPY. Now the Qs, the most bullish out of the bunch, okay, really still could pull back, and it'll be hard to be bearish on the Qs just yet, because you can see hourly really is more sideways than the other two. Okay, so it'll be a little bit more neutral on the Qs and then bearish on the SPY and the IWM. If we take out yesterday's low for the SPY, that's going to be today's low. Okay. All right. So looks like market's staying weak. We're going to close here in about 9 minutes or so. So we'll see where we end up when we finish today. All right, let's go over the plays from today. Really nice play from Sammy, as always, on the HGen here. This is the mega gap, right? Leaving behind all relevant reference points. I think you got to go way back here to see kind of when the last time it was in this kind of territory here on the HGen. Okay, so leaving behind all relevant reference points, gapping down. What made this a little bit more interesting too as a mega gap is that we had some novice aspect to it, although I wouldn't call this really a novice gap because we weren't that extended. Okay, so so we got a little bit of a sell-off, but we're really at the 20 MA, coming from the 20 MA. It's just that we are gapping so far beyond, right? Mega gaps can go either way, and often when they move up, right, is a really nice opportunity to play long, and that's what Sammy called this morning. Okay. So really nice play here. What's nice about this is if we look at this even as a high-low kind of price action here, it sets up pretty well because you have two-way action. You see some sellers step up, you see some buyers step up, right? So when we look at just the opening bar there, right? Creates a pretty decent sized topping tail. Sellers do step in, right? But then we're able to take that over. So that's just a little bit more confirmation. Are there some longs that are trapped in this that are going to look to get out, and that, is going to put pressure on the stock? Yeah, of course. But I think as you can imagine, a lot of people who are maybe stuck in this, if they had the unfortunate situation to be in, the thing is already down 50%. I think at that point was significantly more. Is it really worth salvaging? Probably just going to wait to see what happens, because at this point, it's kind of a lost cause. So that's part of what causes the mega gap, is there's just so much kind of shock that it creates some indecision. And so what you don't end up seeing a lot of selling on this kind of gap. Now, it's not about the size alone, but it's about where is support, where are the reference points, and this is just far beyond them. Okay, so but really nice. You got to know what you're doing if you're going to make a call like this right at the open. So really nice. I know a lot of people got this, so that was really, really nice, and some people are still in it here at the end of the day. Okay. The only other thing from this morning, and this was pretty nice. If you played this, you probably didn't need anything else today. But the only other thing that I gave you this morning was the PRQR. Okay, PRQR, here's the gap on the PRQR. Gapping over, we had a little bit of a pivot there, cleared some resistance there. Yeah, I guess that it probably got to where it should go. You never know if these things will keep on running, but probably resistance around the 890 area. And so, yeah, a lot of room to work with there. And then it went a little bit climactic, which is nice. It just means that it's probably less likely going to be an all-day hold, which this didn't end up being. And so what I gave you this morning as the play was over, I think it gave you 805 by 785. Okay, so it's basically this little bit of consolidation right in here. I didn't see this pullback. I was probably looking at other things. So yeah, that was okay to play. But then I was playing just 1 minute base breakout on a really good gap. Okay, and if you're gonna be playing, 1 minute plays or something like the HGen at the open, right? You're playing based on the quality of the gap. Okay, so that was the PRQR. You can see kind of the climactic extension it got here. Right, biggest bars at the top, and then biggest volume here, and then it actually ended with a bit of a breakout failure there. Okay, I think it maxed on this a little bit shy of 3. I did end up kind of taking this whole thing. Probably was okay to try to hold for more, but I think based on the daily, it just got to the target, and it went climactic, so that made it a lot harder to hold, right? So. But you never know. Some of these gaps, they can just keep going. I know the Givo had a really nice move up today. Let's see. And so there's something like this. I mean, I think this had room too, and really got to that resistance. So, I thought maybe the Givo was one that just ignored all resistance. At least it did get through this kind of one resistance that was immediately in the way. But really nice move on the Givo. I didn't have this as kind of a top, one of my favorites, so I missed this. It did have a entry there at the open on the Givo. So just some breakouts here in the morning, 1 minute breakouts. You can see you can put this side by side. They're the same idea. This as the PRQR. I like the location. I like the gap better on the PRQR. So of course it's more likely I'm going to catch the PRQR because we're looking at these in the pre-market. More likely I'm going to catch that and then miss the Givo because, based on where it's gapping, the shock value is nice. Notice how it's, completely negating the red bar from yesterday. But based on where it was gapping to, I thought some resistance still in the way. I'll have to wait. Whereas I thought the PRQR was ready to go already. So, that's fine. I'm glad both worked. I don't know if anyone caught the Givo. I certainly didn't. But, with the PRQR, and then the HGen. I think some people probably had a really nice day today. Okay. All right, so just a few minutes here before the Qs and SPY close. SPY is already back down, pretty close on the SPY there, but hasn't quite broken yet. But it is looking like tomorrow may be the start, at least for the bearish bias for the SPY. IWM, not really there yet, and then the Q's not quite there yet. But Q's, I think, is a little bit more neutral looking, and then SPY kind of the most set up for, maybe a pullback for a few days is kind of what I'm looking at, because we are going to be running into more support and kind of daily rising 20 still. Okay. All right, so we'll see how that plays out tomorrow to finish out the week. Hope you're having a nice week. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.